Hello everyone, welcome to StraightA. Dawson here, back with another video here today. And man, it's good to be back because Thursday night we have some football. The football season will be back in turn for a full season. And I'm so excited for it for the next 21 weeks. We're going to have some great content here. Week by week, we're going to have some series. Four series each week with an extra video here and there. Basically, we'll have power rankings, fantasy football content week by week, predictions videos, as well as a recap video like we did all last season. And now we'll have one other video that kind of goes in between for 5 videos a week. Very excited for this, and it's some great content. The guys will join me periodically. I'm not really going to set a schedule for any of that, but predictions, everybody should be here. Fantasy football, Ben will mostly be here with me, and then probably with power rankings, StraightA and Braden will kind of help mingle in and out of that kind of content. Either way, man, and some quiz videos in between. It'll be some good stuff, and I'm very excited to be back, just as everyone else should be. This week we'll have a couple different videos because it's getting the season started, but it's going to be preseason predictions, and of course this video kind of detailing week 1 of fantasy football. Usually Ben will be here with me, help guide me through the season because he's my fantasy football expert. I'm here delving into a big season. This season I spent $265 to enter 8 different leagues, basically. And we'll detail kind of all of that as time goes on. Before we get started, though, leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment any suggestions for future videos below. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Basically, we'll be going over all my drafts in a really quick fashion. We'll talk about the different leagues I'm in, as well as what my strategy was going into it, as well as the first week 1 of setting up my lineup and stuff like that. So, very excited in that regard. Lots of different leagues I was in, as well as different strategies I implemented, which may or may not go well. Like I said, I spent $265 just for one. I like fantasy football. I want to try out different strategies, and this is my 3rd year seriously playing fantasy football. The first year, I think I was just in 1 league that I took very seriously, made the championship, lost. The year after that, I was in 3 leagues. I won 2 of the championships and lost in the playoffs in 1 of them. So basically 2 out of 3, I won the championship there. And this year I want to go really hard in terms of fantasy football content. Granted, my research has not been focused on fantasy football, so I'm curious to see how my range of efforts and knowledge of football in general kind of melded to here. I did have Ben help me. Of course, I faced Ben in one of these leagues. I faced some of my personal friends in another one of these leagues. But 6 of these, and then I had Ben also help me with one of these leagues. So 5 of the 8 will be mostly just by myself, entering other leagues, but 3 of them will kind of be more personable to me, either with help, against people I know, stuff like that. So we'll kind of go over it and talk about each of the leagues. So this first one actually is the most interesting one to me because it's a standard league, so no half PPR or PPR. It's a 16-man standard league for a $50 buy-in. I decided to go in because I didn't have a standard league yet, and I'm named Ayukin in this league, and we'll kind of show off logos, stuff like that. Apparently, I did not bad in the draft, but this is I'm going to go 5-9 and with a projected 12 finish, which I actually am kind of nervous about this league because quarterbacks were going off the board like nothing else. Like, people were taking 2 quarterbacks each. Now, granted, I realize this draft also had an extra bench, so 6 normal benches is like what the standard is. This had 7, so some people were taking backup quarterbacks. I punted on quarterback because there's no good value. Every time it felt like a decent value was coming down, someone would take it back to back to back. And I just I never saw the value, so I really ended up with not the greatest quarterback in the world. The rest of the team's kind of fine, but I'm kind of nervous about that quarterback position now, and I'm maybe making a trade. I'm not too sure how I'm going to go about it. Either way, and you'll see defense, I kind of went with some of my guys that you'll see on the bench, but my other strategies kind of changed up a little bit as time goes on. So I got Kansas City Chiefs defense. Apparently, it's selling Mandigo for quarterback, which is fair. Free agents worth adding. A couple of different guys. I don't think any of this is really that important. And my whole draft was kind of simulated there. But let's go results here. I had the 12th pick, I want to say. Around here, I had... Nope, where is it? There it is. I had the 7th pick. My bad. So, of course, the 7th pick, I went Bijan Robinson. He was a running back. I figured running back would be pretty useful. I went him over Breece Hall. Now, this is standard, so I felt like running backs were a lot more important than receivers in this case because they get the guaranteed yardage, they get the end zone. So, Bijan feels like a very great first-round value for 7th round. Then, of course, it's a 16-rounder, so I didn't get a pick for a while. I don't know exact numbers on top of my head for a 16-man. But I ended up getting Rashad White in the next round because most of the value was Drake London, Lamar Jackson I thought about. But again, I thought, well, I can go quarterback value later. This is really important for me to get touchdown passes or touchdown results. So I didn't like anybody there. So I felt like Rashad White was a good value. So Rashad White, Bijan as my 2 running backs. Not the most horrible pick in the world. Debo fell to me later on. I was kind of happy with because, again, I didn't want to go tight end because tight end value just feels like it wasn't as good. James Cook, I didn't really need a running back. He's good value, but fine. And every other receiver, Michael Pittman argument, Kenneth Walker's an argument. but I wanted to go different. Debo, I didn't draft him in any other league. He gets a little bit of everything, so I felt like Debo would actually be really good value for where I got him. Then, of course, you go get Aaron Jones, DJ Moore. So a lot of the running backs at this point have gone off the board. Then, coming down to me, I get Dalton Kincaid. I feel like tight end, if anybody's going to get into the end zone a lot, it's either going to be him or McBride. That was my logic. I missed out on like Raheem Mostert. Kyle Pitts is a good value, but honestly, I'd rather Kincaid. Kyler Murray could have been good. Malik Neighbors, I think, is too much of a risk. So, some decent value there. Jonathan Brooks going 66 in this league is crazy. Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, all these other really good guys. But I ended up getting Deontay Johnson. Again, like Thielen last year, I think he could actually end up in the end zone a lot more. Do I love it? No, not really, but I didn't love much of the value going on. Because remember, this is like round 5, but like everybody's going off because it's a 16-man league. So at this point, 20 extra players going off the board before they should have. So I could have gone Najee. I could have gone Christian Kirk, which I really thought about. Could have gone Rashee Rice, I thought about. I really didn't end up with Rashee Rice a whole lot, to be honest with you. Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, a lot of, again, running back value is there. Devin Singletary, I finally was like, all right, if I'm going to draft another starting running back, I need to get Chuba, I need to get Devin Singletary, but since Jonathan Brooks went so early, I just decided, all right, I'm going to go Singletary. He's kind of a good, safe value running back because there's nobody behind him, and he's at least going to get touches. And at the very least, I can spend out Fab to get his backup if someone is starting to take his place. That's kind of my logic. But again, quarterback value, I could have gone Dak. I really thought about going Dak here. I decided not to because, again, I thought, okay, at the very least, I'm going to end up with the 16th best quarterback, and I'll be there. Spoiler alert, I did not end up with the 16th best. I ended up with way worse. 7th, going forward, Ladd McConkey fell to me. I should say fell, but like he was around the area. I thought about him or Shakir. I went McConkey just because I like the upside, and in this league, I feel like I needed upside just because I felt like I was getting more and more behind as time went on. But again, at the same time, I actually don't hate the value I got. So could you argue for Shakir? 100%, but I went with McConkey. Then down to later on, end up with Mike Williams. Again, upside kind of pick. I didn't love who was going to go off the board at that point. Lockett went off the board at that point, which I was okay not getting. Dalvin Cook, Komet. So I really didn't miss out on much value. Jordan Addison, though, again, at the very least, he's the second there, and he's good value for receiver. And never know if Jay Jettis goes down or something along those lines. Good value. If I knew what I knew going forward, I probably would have picked up Jared Goff, to be honest with you. Because I really was thinking that Jared Goff or somebody else would follow me. Josh Palmer would have been a great pick, but I decided not to. Again, defenses are going early. I would rather have good depth. Rico Dowdle, I was a little bit sad going out at this point, and then I ended up with Dameon Pierce because I wanted to finalize a good running back room. But if I would have known, again, that Matthew Stafford, because at this point, this was the 12th quarterback that went off the board, or the 11th, I think. So I was like, okay, well, Matthew Stafford probably might not fall to me, but at the very least, I'll get somebody like Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers. But then again, they kept on fucking going. So quarterbacks kept on falling and falling and falling, or not falling, but keep on going. So I went and picked up my defense because, again, no good quarterback help there. I didn't love the value, the lower end, so I went ahead and got my defense. Kirk Cousins went. Josh Downs went, all that good stuff. Bo Nix even fucking went at this point. So at that point, I was like, all right, Derek Carr just went off the board. I got to take somebody. And at the very least, Russell Wilson has a rushing upside. And again, at the very least, if Justin Fields ever sniffs the board, I'm just going to waste my fab and get him. Because I cannot, that's the big jump there. Russell Wilson, honestly, is more of an investment than a permanent solution. I'm banking on him getting touchdown passes and getting a couple rushing yards, but I'm not counting on it. I'm hoping the rest of my team can kind of pull together. At that point, I kind of just picked up a couple other guys here and there. Alexander Madison, because I thought, okay, at the very least, Amir White, never know what's going to happen with him. Alexander Madison has sniffed the board before. Jake Elliott ended up being my kicker, and some other stuff. Let's see, Tyler Boyd, I like his upside in that offense that could be very injury-prone. And then I ended up going Justice Hill as my final running back. Just because, again, never know if Derrick Henry might go down, what that will entail. So my team ended up being looking like this. I won't read through it all, but it's fine. This is one of the leagues I'm more worried about in terms of actually competing because I think my upside's there, but will it be there for long enough? I'm not too sure. My game this week is about even. Of course, they currently they put finally their kicker in defense then, so I'm at 4 points behind. I do expect that this will be a close game. I actually do. I do genuinely think they have a very close edge on me. I think where I could get the victory is Dalton Kincaid and Deebo Samuel, and hopefully my running backs and my quarterback can just kind of edge out the evenness. So this will be probably my lineup. I'm thought about putting in Lamb McConkey instead of somebody else, but I think right now Russell Wilson, Rashad White, Bijan, Deontay, Deebo, Dalton Kincaid, Singletary, Jake Elliott, and Chiefs are going to be my starting lineup. just because this is the safest bet for now. We're not going to bank on anybody possibly breaking out right now. We just want wins. We want to do as well as we can. Kind of went a little bit long there, but again, this is what it's all about. It's about talking about through this draft process. As time goes on, you're going to see me go more quickly because I'm not going to explain my picks as much. This next league was actually me and Ben. So Ben joined me for this league because it's a $1,000 pot. It's 48 teams total, but it's broken up to 4 12-man leagues, and essentially just ends up being a big bracket. Think of it like different conferences, and basically in the playoffs end up going true. Don't know what the fuck this is doing, but like it always happens randomly. So Ben pretty much drafted this team along with some of my input as well. We ended up with the 12th pick in a 12-man league, half PPR, I believe. No, standard. This is a standard league as well. My bad. I forgot that was standard. So we had to kind of change up our strategy. A.J. Brown fell to 12. We took him. Kyron Williams, great for that kind of standard scoring projections. Eventually, Sam Laporta and Cooper Kupp were there. We took them. We debated on Lamar Jackson or Devontae Adams, that type of number, but we wanted an elite tight end, again, for that scoring capabilities. Cooper Kupp, great value at that point, a potential number 1 in round 4. We'll take them. So big upside. By the way, this whole league is really good. Not many people messed up their drafts here, so these are very close leagues in this one. Finally, Kyler Murray was there in the 5th, so we're going to take him on the turn. Amari Cooper was there. We didn't like the running back value. We basically decided, all right, we're going to try to find the running back value later, load up our receivers, go as ham as we can. Jonathan Brooks was there. Jaden Reed was there. Great potential for one in the Green Bay offense, as well as Jonathan Brooks. We're hoping to get Chuba later. Pretty well-rounded so far we ended up being. Then finally, 9-10, Chuba did fall. So we took Chuba, so we have a guaranteed starting running back group, as well as Khalil Shakir, who has great upside in Buffalo. If Keon Coleman doesn't pop off or Kincaid doesn't take too much away, Shakir will be that guy there. 11-12, Khalil Herbert, Caleb Williams, because in this league it makes you draft the backups for everything, so we have to draft a backup quarterback, a backup defense, a backup kicker. So you're going to see some weird drafts here at the end, but it's because it limits you to 5 receivers and 5 running backs. So I'm not going to keep tally of that number for you, but that's why we start drafting a little bit weirdly at this point. Khalil Herbert, great upside, because if DeAndre Swift goes down, Khalil Herbert will be the goal line back. At the very least, he might see a couple goal line touches. Caleb Williams, great potentially backup quarterback, because you never know if for one Kyler Murray goes down, but Caleb Williams, also a rookie, could do very well in that Chicago offense. Kenneth Gainwell, this is pretty much an all Ben pick. I don't like Kenneth Gainwell, but he swears that Saquon is very injury prone. Kenneth Gainwell's going to get a lot more love than I think. I'm going to trust him in this one. Kenneth Gainwell ended up being our 5th running back. Seahawks defense, at this point, we kind of punted the defense, so Seahawks is the best one on the board. Bills defense actually ended up falling too, but they have a really hard schedule, so we just had it to kind of help swap between back and forth. Young Goku was also there. Will Richard for Minnesota's kicker was there, and then Jonnu Smith was our final pick in the 18th round. Jonnu Smith, I think, has great upside. This was kind of more of my pick too, because I know Ben wanted a different tight end, and we talked about other tight ends. But we have Sam Laporta, so we're not very worried about it. But Jonnu Smith, I believe, in the Miami offense has a lot of potential there. This week, I actually think we do have a decent matchup. It's going to be close. Again, all these leagues are really close in their own regard, especially in the very beginning. I should go fantasy cast more so than anything. Faces Charles Cook's team. We're King of the Cup, by the way. I didn't really explain, but I'm Ayukin, and you kind of see it's basically just like a little Street Fighter themed thing here. And then King of the Cup, this is basically called the Kings League, and I just decided to go King of the Cup. Ended up with Cooper Kupp, so that's pretty cool. Really close matchup, because again, we have very similar teams. We have higher upside, I think, in the tight end and second receiver category, as well as flex. I think we have a good upside. We also run 2 flex in this league, so it's going to be close. But again, I think we do have the slight edge. I think this is right. 95-94 is about a right projection. But I think Kyler Murray, Sam Laporta are going to give us the edge in this one and help us win out. And I don't think we're really considering anybody else starting this week, because again, we're very high upside on our starting lineup right now. Going into the next league, we have a half PPR Superflex auto drafted. So you're going to hate me for this. I ended up auto drafting this one because I forgot I mislabeled the time I was drafting. And I actually did mean for one of these leagues to be auto drafted, but I was hoping it was one of the $20 leagues. So far, both the leagues we talked about was $50 money leagues. This one was also $50. And I'd rather not, auto draft a half PPR. This league actually is going to take a lot of rebuilding. It's going to take a lot of focus into it, because what it ended up doing, I got 2 elite receivers, Chase and Jefferson. Amazing. Great. At that point, no quarterbacks off the board. So I guess I don't hate it, but I also just don't love it. Then Chris Olave, then Michael Pittman. We went 4-man wide receivers in the 4 wide receivers in the very first round. It's half PPR, so it's not as important, and it's super flex. So we didn't have a quarterback lined up at this point. At this point, there's no quarterback help at that point. So Evan Ingram, they ended up drafting him. Ramondre Stevenson is our number 1 running back. So we are all in on receivers. We are just hoping a receiver lands and that we can just get elite after elite after elite. Evan Ingram's safe enough. He's fine. Ramondre Stevenson, he's a fine number 2, but we just don't have a number 1 running back. Brian Robinson Jr. is our number 2 running back, along with Chris Godwin being a 5th receiver. At that point, I don't know why it drafted a receiver, but it was value, so I'll take it in the round 8, I guess. But why didn't we go with Aaron Rodgers? Why didn't we go with, Kirk Cousins even? It's fucking insane. Finally, in round 9, we ended with Justin Herbert. Hallelujah. Decent quarterback with no one to throw to. So our number 1 quarterback is Justin Herbert. Jordan Addison fell, so that's decent value. Then we end up with Jonathan Brooks. Great. I love it after week 4. Could be very good. Marquise Brown, such a high upside receiver. Could be great for this team. Then we got Tyler Lockett. I ended up dropping him for somebody else in free agency because I don't like Lockett this year. Browns defense, fine. Evan McPherson, fine. Tyler Conklin, ended up dropping him for Bo Nix, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Bryce Behringer, because this also runs a punter league. So punters, they don't really add too much that it looks like, but very least, it's the New England punter. They should be doing that a lot this season. Looking at our kind of fantasy cast here and who we're playing and the rest of our roster, I did drop Tyler Conklin, Tyler Lockett for Bo Nix and Khalil Herbert. I like the value that those two bring. Gives me more depth at running back, gives me an extra quarterback in case Bo Nix ended up being a rushing menace. I don't think he's going to be a rushing menace, but I think he has rushing upside. So at the very least, I'm not up shit's creek without a paddle. We're pretty damn close. I'm projected to win this by barely. C.J. Stroud should probably easily eclipse Herbert, and then Jaden Daniels in the fucking flex position. I'm hoping that he doesn't do as well as I hope. I mean, I have him in 1 league, but against Michael Pittman, it could be a fucking slaughterhouse in that matchup right there. I do have really damn good receivers. My receivers across the board eclipses. My Chris Olave to Tony Pollard eclipse. Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, same upside. The only other place he might have me a little bit is James Conner and Kenneth Walker over Ramondre and Brian Robinson Jr. Everything else pretty damn even. It's going to be a close matchup. No fucking lie. I may even look at my defense, swapping out the Browns for something else in free agency. Maybe dropping someone like fucking Chris Godwin. No, Jordan Addison. I don't know. I don't know what I would do there, but I'm maybe going to think about doing Dallas or Browns defense off the board this time. We'll see, though. Good matchup. Going to be a close one. It'll take a lot of work in this league for me to really drive home the point that we can maybe win. This league is a half PPR 10-man league for $5. This is one of my buddies' leagues. Basically, I'm a Sigma Chi in college, or I was a Sigma Chi in college, and now I'm obviously still a Sigma Chi. So I still play fantasy football with them. 10 of our buddies decided to go. There's a couple of people who drafted really weirdly. So if you see Justin Tucker go in the first round, yeah, you saw it right. We do have a loser bet in this league too. So we get like $40 for the winner, and the next 2 people basically get their money back, I think. So pretty much how it goes. I ended up with CeeDee Lamb at number 6, kind of, really fucking strange. Ended up with Jonathan Taylor next. I'm not going to go too much into the draft strategy because this was a fuckery draft, and it's loaded. It's a PPR league. Pacheco, Travis Etienne, great 2 running backs at that point. Malik Neighbors, Cooper Kupp, high upside receiver rounds. Ridley, Connor, just good value at 7 and 8. 9 and 10, Christian Kirk and Jordan Love. Jordan Love is going to be a great quarterback with good rushing value. Brock Bowers at 11 for my tight end. Sure, I punted the tight end position, but should be fine. Jonathan Brooks, again, he's such good value for later on these drafts. I ended up with him so many times because he's such good value. I love it. Devin Singletary, same case. You'll see that later. 13-14, I got Keon Coleman, Bears defense. Good value, and I just decided to go Bears defense in this case. Rico Dowdle, again, investment pick, and Chase McLaughlin. Tampa Bay should be scoring enough or getting within field goal range enough for me to feel fine with Chase McLaughlin being my kicker. Not too much to go really into that. This week, I actually am projected to lose by a lot, but again, it's also because it's not counting CeeDee Lamb's 20 points that he's projected right now because I'm supposed to be 124. So it's actually supposed to be a much closer game, and I think, to be honest with you, this is probably one of my easier games. Kyron's worried, Justin Jefferson's worried, AJ Brown is worried. I don't care about anybody else. All my teams are really stacked. I'm thinking about putting Cooper Kupp in over Malik Neighbors this week, but just because I think Detroit has a weaker secondary and Cooper Kupp could go off in the end zone. Malik Neighbors, though, is the only guy there, but I just don't want to take a chance week 1. So Malik Neighbors and Cooper Kupp will probably be swapped. But other than that, I think this game will be pretty easy for me to win. Then moving on to the PPR 12-man for $20. So this is PPR 12-man league. It doesn't really highlight who I am, but I'll try to point it out. And I was the 3rd pick in the draft. I took Breece Hall. Again, I took Bijan in one league. I took Breece Hall in another around the 3-4 mark. They're pretty even for me. Can you take Tyreek? Absolutely. But when Breece Hall catches passes and also rushes for a fuck ton, I'm taking Breece Hall. Most times I'm not. Devontae Adams was there. Took Devontae Adams over Chris Olave in this case. You can choose either or. I'm pretty all right with it. At that point, I really didn't see much value. I didn't want to reach on Laporta. I didn't like Ayuk in the 3rd. I didn't like Jacobs. Didn't like Metcalf. So I decided to be the first person to take a quarterback. This is the only time this league, or in these leagues, that I took a quarterback this fucking early, in that round 3, or just kind of reached on a quarterback, just because I didn't like the value there. I think they drafted very well at this point, and I didn't want to go early third, so I wanted to reach on a at least decent quarterback. I didn't want to worry about that. So that one's probably one of my iffier picks of this whole draft, but at the very least, it's Josh Allen. He's gonna get some value. But I also don't blame anybody who doesn't love reaching on a quarterback this early. I don't do it often, but this time I definitely did. Then moving on to the next round, Trey McBride was there. I took him again. Didn't like the receiver and running back value, so I decided to wait. Then McLaurin was still there. It's a 3-receiver league, I believe, as well. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. It is a 3-receiver league, so they helped me get my second receiver. At that point, I think that's when I realized it was a 3-receiver league, so it kind of made me wish I went receiver heavy in the beginning, but not a big deal. Later on, end up with Calvin Ridley. Filled out my 3rd receiver slot. I was okay with it. Kind of found some value later on, too. Well, also DeAndre Swift, because, again, I think he's going to be catching some passes there. He's a decent second running back to pick up. I'm not mad about it, but I'm just not happy with it. He's a fine pick at that point. Zach Moss was there. I know the rumors are Chase Brown's going to beat him out. I still think Zach Moss is going to get a lot of love, a lot more love than people think he's going to get. So I like Zach Moss more than Chase Brown, but, again, shoot me if you think that's wrong. I get it. Jonathan Brooks was there. Again, I'm always going to take Jonathan Brooks. When I need running back help in the later rounds, I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks. He is going to be a fucking beast. Am I writing off of every league basically having Jonathan Brooks as a later round upside running back? Sure, 100%. I still don't care. I think he's great value. Could you have gone Ford? Could you have gone Chubb? Absolutely. Heck, I could have even went Brown. I even thought about going Brown there, but I want Jonathan Brooks in almost every league, so I decided to go with it. Well, not Blake Corum. Then Joshua Palmer's there. I like Joshua Palmer. I usually bank on Ladd McConkey, but Palmer I think is just as likely to take that number 1 spot. Jerry Jeudy was there. I think he's going to get a lot more love than people are giving him credit for. I don't think he's going to get a ton of love, but he's good value at the very least. For aging Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy could do well. Then moving on, we get to Bucky Irving. Again, good value, like rookie running back pick. Going to take him. Dallas defense. I decided to go defense because I started seeing those go off the board. I usually took Dallas defense if they were there. Shoot me. Then moving on, Fairburn was still there because of Houston's kicker. I think they're going to score a lot. Boom, bada, bing. Demario Douglas, along with Polk, I think are very decent, like last pick of the draft picks. Demario Douglas was my last pick there. So, decent draft here. Again, nothing too extraordinary. Looking at our matchups here, I think I do have the edge, even though this says I don't. I think the receivers are going to be really, really strong against me because Puka and DJ Moore could potentially do well. But Devontae Adams and Terry McLaurin are the clear ones in their position. Puka's not. DJ Moore is not. T. Higgins, definitely not. Calvin Ridley, definitely not either. But at the very least, my running backs have so much upside. Joe Mixon, I think, again, is sharing too much love with some other some other Houston receivers. So I think it's just as likely for Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift to pop off. Trey McBride, I think, has so much more upside than David Njoku. Zach Moss, Jordan Addison. I probably will replace Zach Moss with somebody else, probably like Joshua Palmer, maybe Wan'Dale Robinson, depending on how I feel. But I'm thinking Joshua Palmer will replace Zach Moss. So add me another point or so. Then the kicker and defense, whatever. It says I'm a little bit less favored, but again, I think this is also a very, very favorable matchup for me because, again, Josh Allen's also potentially going to go off. So very, very good league in my opinion. Then looking at the draft recap for this next league, I have to kind of follow along my little path here. This is a $20 10-man league, half PPR. Again, kind of quickly going off, I was air raid offense. Jamar Chase was my first pick. Number 6, I'll take him. Especially now that the 2 running backs there, I'll take him. Then Travis Etienne was there. I like Etienne enough. Went Etienne. You could also go on Olave, but again, I like always getting at least some kind of good running back in the first 2 rounds. So take that as you will. Running backs, I think in this league, were going very fucking fast too. So I want to jump on it when I could. DK was there though. I was going to take Cooper Kupp and then DK fell. So boom, bada, bang, I took DK. Like I said, I could have taken Josh Allen in this case, but I don't like doing that a whole lot, and I felt like maybe the value is there to kind of maybe get another quarterback later on, so I went DK. Because in the other league, when I took Josh Allen, I didn't think another quarterback would get to me, or another top 4 quarterback, so I went Josh Allen then. Then you got the Lamar Jackson pick. He was the last quarterback, I believe, off the board for that Elite 4. Easily, I was like, you know what? Great value for him to fall at the middle of the 4th. I'll take him. Then Mark Andrews. Again, I don't stack very often because I don't believe in stacking. I know people say once the weeks you go off, you go off. But the weeks that you don't go off, you fucking don't go off. So I don't know why people think that matters too much. I like diversifying and, kind of pushing out the risk a little bit more. So Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson are one of my few stacks in my leagues. Love Mark Andrews, and I think he will do well. Then moving on, Deontay Johnson fell to me. I actually was looking at Zamir White at this point, but I decided, all right, he didn't follow me. I like Deontay Johnson, his upside. At the very least, you can get Thielen later on, too, so like Deontay Johnson. Then Devin Singletary at the end, I think good value pick. I was looking at Javonte. Didn't end up with Javonte a whole lot because, again, he went right before I usually got to him. But Devin Singletary is who I like picking up. Donnie Pollard, I just could never bring my heart to pick him up just because Tajee Spears is right behind him. Just could never really do it too often, so take that as you will. Zach Moss, this is the beginning of you seeing where Zach Moss kind of went off the train for me. Maybe if I thought about it more, probably would have went Gus Edwards or something more. Probably would have got more, reps of Gus Edwards or Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb in a couple of leagues. But, man, I went Zach Moss. I can't help myself. Zach Moss, I think, is good value, too, along with Jonathan Brooks. Once again, it's a very common theme. He was there in the 9th. Like, that's so fucking crazy. I can end up with Jonathan Brooks in, like, the 9-10. He's a potential starter and a beast. It was really hard for me to do. This is the one guy I'm really leaning on doing well in every league, and it's a big gamble. Don't get me wrong. I could have gone Nick Chubb at this point. Could have gone Hollywood Brown. Could have gone, whoever. But if I'm going to bet on somebody, I want to bet on Jonathan Brooks. I'll be honest with you. It's one of the few guys I like really a lot going into this next season. Then I went with Ladd McConkey. I like Ladd McConkey in this case. I thought about Keon Coleman. I kind of swapped between them, but I think McConkey has more potential of going off. I could have also gone DeAndre Hopkins, but I don't like people with injury proneness, so take that as you will. Khalil Shakir, wind up with Khalil Shakir in this case too. Like him, think he's just as likely. I didn't take Keon Coleman because Khalil Shakir's right there as well. Never know. Also wish I went up with more stock of Josh Downs and Adonai Mitchell. I think those two guys could do really well, but I'm also not sad that I didn't end up with them. I think Dallas defense went next. I like hitting my defense early, and to be honest with you, I thought it was around 13, so I just accidentally went defense too early. Kill me. Antonio Gibson, I think, has some potential to take over that position from Ramondre Stevenson at least a little bit. So I decided to go him here. I thought about Thielen just to kind of have the mitigating risk, but take that as you will. Went kicker because I always like getting kicker in defense at least in 13th, 14th round. So I went Tyler Bass right over here. And finally, I went Jalen Polk because I like Jalen Polk and Demario Douglas in that offense of getting some love. Do I think they're going to do amazing? No, but the 15th round pick, I'll take it. This one, I believe, is actually one of the harder matchups I have this week. More favorable for the person. Tua could potentially go off. Tyreek and Mike Evans are hard to beat as receivers. Jacobs and Mixon, I don't think are that good, but also I have Singletary on as one of my running backs, so that's going to be a little bit tougher of a fight. Mark Andrews could easily eclipse Evan Ingram. Deontay Johnson, Malik Neighbors could toss up a coin at that point, I'll be honest with you. So this is going to be a closer matchup. I do think they have the edge. Not thinking about starting anybody this week because, I have a lot more storing people of potential later on. So these are kind of my surefire things. So I'll probably stick to this lineup. And I should comment on some of the names I had. So I had Air Raid Offense in this league with a little ChatGPT made logos. This league I went Lawrence of Arabia. This league I went Ezekiel 25-17. I lost in this league in the championship last year. The only league I didn't win last year, so that's very sad. Chase the Dream, because this is the league that got auto-drafted, so I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'm chasing for fucking ring in this case. King of the Cup, because it's called the King's Tournament or whatever. And then Ayukin, just because it's fun. There you go. Moving on, we got 2 more leagues to cover, and hopefully I can get this done in like 40 minutes. 20 more minutes or so, 15 more minutes, whatever, you get it. At this point, this is my $20 2 flex half PPR league. We'll just kind of quickly go through it. I think I was the 3rd overall pick again. I'll take Breece Hall more times than not over any other guy. If CeeDee Lamb fell, I would have taken CeeDee Lamb, but only in one league did I end up with CeeDee Lamb. I think you already saw it. Actually, did I end up with CeeDee Lamb at all? Oh yeah, I did in that 10-man league. So I never got really the first or second pick, so I never really went Christian McCaffrey or CeeDee Lamb. So they always went off. But Breece Hall end up with a 3rd here. More than likely not gonna. I'm always gonna take him in like at least a half PPR. There are some milestones in this league. No, it's not. It's just 2 flex. My bad. 2 flex 10-man, $20 half PPR. So this is gonna be more stacked. Breece Hall fell to me. I don't want to say fell to me, but you know what I mean. He's there. And then I end up with Travis Etienne. Again, I like Etienne enough. And at that point, again, I wanted to load up running backs. I don't like A-Chain. I thought I had a lot of love for A-Chain going into the draft. Decided not to even think about him because Raheem Mostert's still there. And Ben's kind of gotten in my ear about that. So we'll see. But I went with Chris Olave. Good, safe receiver. Not too mad about it. Then Michael Pittman was there. I like Pittman. He's a safe receiver as well. Wanted to be safe. James Cook was there at the 5. For 53 or something like that, 53rd pick, I will easily take it. James Cook's great value in that case, even in half PPR. Kyler Murray was there. I'm taking Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, I think I have 2 stock of in this whole draft thing. again, he has great rushing upside, and it's great for he has a decent offense. His offensive line isn't great, but he has some weapons there now, so maybe he can actually do something. Then George Pickens fell to me. I don't like George Pickens, I'll be honest with you, but I think he's worth taking stock of sometimes. Chris Olave and Drake London, same case. I think if they're there at good value, you shouldn't be scared to pick them up, but I just don't like picking them up. That's just kind of a personal preference for me. Tony Pollard was there. This is one of the few cases I did take Tony Pollard. I think he's good enough, but a little bit nervous. Christian Watson, I wanted to take at least a chance on him in one league, and I'm glad at least I got him in one league. Could have gone like Tajay Spears or Jonathan Brooks again, but I didn't end up with either one of those guys. Wish I ended up with Jerome Ford, but instead I ended up with Keon Coleman. One of the leagues I ended up with him in. Good upside later on. Trey Benson, more of another, I don't like picking him up, but I also recognize he does have the potential there, so that's a more of a Ben pick. Ben wasn't with me in this case, but he swears on Trey Benson. I'm going to listen to him and be fine with it. Then later on, Rico Dowdle fell. I like Rico Dowdle because he, again, will get some snaps in the beginning, but he'll also get more snaps as the season goes on. So I think he was a very safe later on running back to pick up. Kansas City defense, they're not going to let a whole lot of scoring go on. Jake Moody's fine. And then you got Mike Williams as a storing, hopefully for the future type of receiver. He's the one you want to take a chance on. So I'm overall okay. You're going to see some of the picks kind of made notable people who like I thought about taking. But Mike Williams, I think, is a fine 15th round pick here. This matchup also, I think, is actually pretty hard for me to take on. This guy actually has a pretty decent team. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase in their stack. Hopefully, I'm just kind of banking on the Joe Burrow curse being true for the first few weeks because he doesn't usually do well in the first few weeks. So hopefully it's the case this season. Kyler Murray should put up a fight. Chris Olave should at least cover some points. Michael Pittman, Mike Evans should cover each other. Breece Hall should destroy Isaiah Pacheco. Travis Etienne, Rachaad White should pretty much even out. James Cook, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp does have the potential to go off, so that's really worrisome. George Pickens and Trey McBride definitely could go either way, but George Pickens should have the favorable outcome since he's the receiver. And then Jake Moody, Kansas City, all this. So he definitely does have a leg up on me. Surprisingly enough, though, I didn't even note this. This doesn't have a tight end in this league. So it's just two flexes with a potential tight end. So I didn't go any tight end this league, which is great. It's fine because I got more upside of wide receivers and running backs later on. Show bench players real quick. Again, I think my bench players are pretty good, but he also does have Nick Chubb, who could be stored later, and he also stacked up tight end quarterback. So take that as you will. Oh well, this might be the hardest matchup of the week, but I do still think it's a very easy shot for me to win. I'm called Swift Justice in this league too, so I love that name. Finally, this is probably one of the most important leagues to me because it's my friends league. These are players. I know Ben, I know Jack, who runs the league. So Ben's a friend who's in the league. Jack runs the league. I think with kind of Ben in there, and they always bring their friends in there. I was invited 2 years ago in this league. I've always made the championship in this league. I'm kind of worried about because now a lot of eyes are on me. They're like, okay, is this guy actually real? Is he not? Who knows? Because I won last year, so I'm the defending champion. It's a milestone league, so there's a lot of milestones for getting certain yards, getting first downs, stuff like that, like incremental value. But overall, it's half PPR with a $50 buy-in. This is how the draft went. All right, so I was number 11. So you got to choose which one you took. I like later round picks because I like getting double value. Running backs are going off the board like fucking crazy. Like Jonathan Taylor, James Cook went right after my Kyren Williams pick. I like Kyren Williams. This is the second or third draft I did. Derrick Henry's still there. Didn't take him often, but I took him here. Kyren Williams, Derrick Henry, amazing picks for me, I think, here. Then again, a lot of people started going off the board. I saw running backs going off. I was like, I need to take my running backs now. If I'm taking somebody now, I got to take my running back now. I took Alvin Kamara. Do I love it? No. Do I hate it? No. Because at that point, I could get receivers like Brandon Ayuk, Amari Cooper. I went Brandon Ayuk because I think he literally right before that signed his contract. I will easily take Brandon Ayuk for that potential. At this point, I would fall down to that, or to fall down to the 5th round, 5'11". Dalton Kincaid was there. I thought about Mark Andrews, but I like Kincaid slightly better. That's who I thought the value was there. And then Chris Godwin was there as my second receiver. I will take that. Even like I said, I punted the receiver a little bit, but my plan was to go high upside receivers later on. Later on, 7-11, I got Cortland Sutton, good value receiver. I think people sleep on him because, again, he's the number one guy there. Could someone overtake him eventually? Sure, but he's Cortland Sutton. As long as he doesn't get injured, he'll be fine. Devin Singletary was still there. Again, he's a surefire one right now, so I'm taking Devin Singletary. And you never know, he might go off, but also he could not. Ladd McConkey, high end receiver or high potential receiver. I decided to go him. Jaden Daniels was there. My plan was if Jaden Daniels doesn't do well, or he does like Anthony Richardson last year, I pick up a quarterback from the free agency market and get a good, fine quarterback going forward. I love the potential that Jaden Daniels has at this point, and I will take it 10 times out of 10, especially since I didn't land in a good quarterback position. Usually the 3-4 turn is a great place to pick up a quarterback. Quarterbacks were no quarterback went off the board at that point, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the first person to take it. I'll just wait later on for Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, whoever. So I went Jaden Daniels, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I think it could be very well, but could go very bad, but at the very least, again, could pick up another upside guy in free agency. Antonio Gibson was there. I just went another running back, and of course, Gabe Davis I think has potential. I almost thought about Thielen, but I like Gabe Davis enough in that offense in case Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't do anything, and Kirk doesn't get as much love as we think. So Gabe Davis is fine. Lining down here, I got Tyler Boyd as my last actual pick, and then I went finally 49ers defense, and ended up with Jake Moody as my kicker. I actually kind of realized, I didn't even realize this. I ended up with the basically the special teams of 49ers and Jake Moody. So that's going to be a problem when it eventually happens, so we'll take it as it comes, but they're both good still picks. And actually, I forgot there is a 16th round. I took Troy Franklin as my last one. That was more like it was more of a funny pick because I really didn't care for anybody at that point. It was like anybody is pretty much the same value in my mind, but Troy Franklin has the potential to be a guy there. Bo Nix likes him. I was like, all right, I'll take a shot on him in case something were missing, but there was really nobody left in the league that I was like, I'll go him. I'm actually facing off against the person who beat me in the championship 2 years ago, as well as the person who I beat in the playoffs last year to make the championship. I do have a very favorable matchup. I know he'll swear to the end of his days that my matchup is actually really favorable for him, which, don't get me wrong, it's pretty close. Patrick Mahomes, really damn good, but his running backs are across the board worse than mine. Now, granted, he has Brian Thomas Jr. He could pop off, but I just don't think it's likely. CeeDee Lamb in his flex position instead of Drake London or Chris Olave, all great receivers there. But I still got Brandon Ayuk, Chris Godwin, and Cortland Sutton. I think they can put up enough points to kind of help mitigate the problem that my running backs are going to see there. I think my defense and my kicker is also very favorable, and I think Kincaid and McBride, McBride will have a harder time adjusting to the Buffalo defense than Kincaid to the Arizona defense. So I'm pretty all right with it. I think my depth is better than his. I like Douglas. I like McLaughlin. That's about it. Downs is also good. I'll give him that too. But I love my depth. I love it. It has such good upside, and I look forward to seeing how this game goes because this is the game I'm riding on a lot. I'm looking at my lineup like, okay, is there any optimizations I can make? I'm not too sure. But in this league, I'm called Hitting Rugs. Sorry for that. This is just one of the more vulgar leagues, as you'll see. But really fun times. This is a longer video because I'm going over the whole league and getting ready for fantasy football. I don't know what the series will be called, but it'll be called something hopefully funny, something interesting. We'll see. Hope you all did enjoy the video of me going over my drafts, going over everything else. I'll be doing this video weekly to kind of show up my lineups and show what I think and kind of the thoughts from the week before. So that's about as well as we can do. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you on the next one. StraightA Dawson, out of here.